Darbi.
And I'm Kaitlin, and today we have a special guest. This is Erika Schmidt, our sweet good friend.
And my neighbor.
And your neighbor. She's a good neighbor.
She's such a good neighbor. It's so fun, her having 4 girls, and I have 4 boys, and we're catty corner, so I feel like we are holding it down.
Yeah, you are.
Street.
We've got wipes across the street, oil, baking oil, whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
it.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so Erika, tell us a little bit about your life. What does your life look like with 4 girls and a sweet husband?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're very busy all the time, but it's good. It's good stuff. We were just having that conversation,
Yeah.
We're busy, but it's good. We really try and do everything together as much as we can. We're a great... just the Lord has done so many good things for us to make us the family unit that we are. And so it's fun, it's busy, it's crazy. It's everything you see from the outside. Like, we're the most open people that you can ever know, I promise. And so it's good.
So tell us the ages of your girls.
Yeah.
I have 3 to 15, so 15, 14, and then 5 and 3. The top 2 are 17 months apart. The bottom 2 are 27 months apart. God did a lot of things with numbers with me in my life, and so it's really fun.
I love that.
I'm gearing up for lots of new seasons, so it's a transitional time in our home, in our lives, and it's just good.
And then there's Ryan in the midst of all the girls. What a blessed guy.
God only could give us him because it was, I don't know. I couldn't have picked anyone better. And so God's good.
So you've got this gap with your girls.
Mm-hmm.
How did that gap come to be? Can you tell us the story that led to that? Because I know usually there is a story.
Yes.
There is for me.
Yes, they're big stories, lots of stories in my life, but I was a teenage mom. So Sarah Payton, my oldest, I had at 17, and then I got married, and I had to have my parents sign permission form for me to get married the first time. So I married Jade's dad, and I had Jade at 19. He was Army, so we were in Georgia, and again, a hard season afterwards, but a good season at the moment. And so then, we were young, we made different choices, and at 21, I was a single mom. So I walked with the Lord as a single mom for a good 4 or 5 years, and then Ryan comes and, completes our family at that time, and we had infertility issues, so that was another big testimony for us. And then finally, Tatum got to come into our home and our life, and I got pregnant with her. Again, she's 5, and then Kelby was a big surprise. So I look back, and I had both of them pre-COVID. So I was not planning Kelby at all, and I didn't know maybe we wanted more or whatever, but it wouldn't have been at that timing, because she was completely, oh, hello, we just bought a house, we just, God knew what he was doing, because we needed more space, obviously, and it was just, hi, Kelby. And but she completely completes our family, our exclamation point to life, and it was, again, just good came from hard. So
What's the dynamic between Sarah Payton, Jade, and Tatum and Kelby?
Oh, they're all so different but the same.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Here's Sarah and Kelby or Tatum, and but Sarah's my girly, go at it type of girl. She's and Jade's my more rough and tumble, but they're still the same. Being closer, I feel like they're still working out their sisterhood. But I'm really excited for them to see high school together. And I know that that's going to change a lot of things for them. And next year, my babies will be apart. Tatum going to kindergarten, and Kelby staying at her preschool. And so just, like I said, ever-changing seasons. But it's all fun. Like I said, we work as a unit in the weirdest way, but it's awesome. And it's lots of love is what I always say. We're full of chaos, but lots of love.
Yeah, so. I see that too.
Yeah,
right? That's
for
so
sure.
obvious with your family.
I don't know how you do it all.
I know.
Now, you're a stay-at-home mom partly, but then what are some of the other things that you...
I do work part-time for a hospice company, Beyond Faith, here, and so I'm the bereavement coordinator, and I get to love on families after their loved one has passed, and so I make phone calls and listen, and which is a really big part of my life. And I also volunteer. I volunteer a lot in Graham, which I just love serving people wherever. Like I said, a lot of my testimony is different chapters, different parts, and so I'm really trying to find a focus that the Lord wants me to do. He has not told me that yet. So I just keep doing. I keep doing what He tells me to do, and so I also volunteer for our pregnancy resource center. So my little tagline is I care about life from conception to the end, to eternity. And so so I do that, and like I said, anything my girls are involved in, I'm usually mostly involved in, because we talked about our control thing yesterday.
So because you do a lot at the school as well. So you've got hospice, end life care, then you do choices, which is even before birth, and then you're doing the school stuff in between, and church stuff.
I serve in youth too. I mean, being a teen mom, like, youth has always been my first ministry that I started working with. I guess in a weird way, mom's ministry was my first that I worked with when I lived in Georgia. I did a mom's group there. Why anyone wanted to listen to a 19-year-old mother, I don't know. But I do know that I've always had the favor of the Lord. I've always had just, even when I didn't know Him, He was getting me to this place and getting me to who He's always wanted me to be. And so, but just ministry is just something that I've always, been involved in as much as little as needed. And, but youth has always been the biggest part. And now it's funny that my kids are in youth, and it's this new season again.
What would you say was maybe the most defining moment in your walk with the Lord? Can you think of one moment that you're like, this changed who I was or how I saw the Lord?
Well, I grew up in church, but at 17, it was a really hard season in my family, and so the song "Jesus Take the Wheel" by Carrie Underwood came out that year, and I went to a church that, you were baptized into the faith. So, like, it wasn't really my own. I just went because that's what I was supposed to do. And so when that song came out, like, we didn't have, like, salvation calls, or we didn't have, like, here's your moment that it's yours now. And so, like, when that song came out, like, I literally, like, cried and, like, basically got to my knees and said, like, this is real, this is what I want. And so anyways, I fell real hard after that, like the enemy does, and that's like literally 2 months after I feel like I did give my life to Christ is when I became pregnant. And so so God kind of stopped me in my tracks. And again, the biggest blessing, we talked about this in youth, it was funny last night, just like a hard thing might be your greatest, stopping point or turning point, I guess you should say. And so that truly was it. I walked a long time in unforgiveness of myself and shame, because it's not where I wanted my life to go or what I thought it would be like. But and that's also why choices or the pregnancy resources is dear to my heart, because I did go to an abortion clinic. I did say, I still have a whole life to live, and me and my parents, prayed about it, and we just could not do it. So they helped me walk that out. But my whole pregnancy, I kind of isolated myself because I was so ashamed. And whenever she came, it was just like, man, His love and forgiveness is so real, because like I know a lot of people that made other choices in high school that they didn't get out of so easily. Like I just became a mother to an amazing daughter now. Seeing at 15, like the walk that we've gone through, and her being my oldest, has just been an amazing redemption story and what God is doing. But it's because He's loved us from that very moment. He's loved us our whole time, but just that moment was just amazing, because He knew all we were going to do.
Well, and just now knowing who Sarah Payton is, that she is a true, genuine light for the Lord. Like, she loves Him, and she is a follower of Him and brings people along with her. I'm so thankful for her life. you know?
Yeah, sure.
So, Erika, it sounds like you've lived a lot of your life with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what do you think is something that He's teaching you now? What is He showing you?
Right now, I love hearing His voice more tangibly. I know that y'all have talked about this in the podcast a lot, is like how you do that. And pre-COVID, I had a season of isolation because Kelby was my hardest pregnancy and birth story. We both almost died, and then I went through postpartum depression and anxiety. And so I was already on lockdown before the world went on lockdown. So I feel like I've had a very good 1.5 to 2 years of growth because of just steps of obedience. And so that looks like for us tithing with no questions, being in the Word more and just laying, like you said, I've been walking, but more foundational or rebuilding almost. I feel like I've been in a rebuilding season for sure. And like I said, getting to see that in my walk as a mother, as a wife, it's been a very healing 2 years. So that's what it's been looking like right now. It's just Him healing all the wounds that were there and just, again, getting me back to who He wanted me to be or what I'm meant to be.
Yeah. I love that.
I know. So you talked about how you kind of always knew the Lord. Your faith was just something kind of handed down to you, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But do you think it was the moment when you had a hard season and a struggle where you said, okay, I've got to figure out how to make this my own?
Yeah.
And then what would you say to encourage someone to figure that out that's still in this, like, how do I make my faith my own and walk that out?
Yeah,
that's good.
I think as hard as it sounds, it is the one steps of obedience and just, okay, they're telling me to read my Bible, I've got to do it. Like, I think I shared something today about self-love and, we're in that generation, but the greatest self-love you can do for yourself, one, basically is know Jesus, because He's going to heal every single thing that has been put in your life. He's the only one that can. And so we've been talking about this in my mom's group, is like, literally, if you are sitting in the middle of your floor, your children are crying, the dishes are still in the sink, you've got to sit down with Him. You've got to find that time to be with Him on your own and call it your own, because that's the only way you're going to get out of what you're feeling, because He's the only one that can heal you. And so, but I think a lot of times too, we don't talk about that there's a light after that hard season. I know you don't see it right now while you're in it, but please keep going. Like, that is my heart so much right now. Just conversations I've had and people that are in my life right now. Please keep going or keep doing. Like, get in the Word, turn off the regulator, turn on worship music. Like, it's really tangible things that you can do to create that atmosphere, but mostly invite the Holy Spirit in, and He's going to keep working, like kind of chiseling down you every time that you do. Like, it's one step. One of my big things that I've done recently in obedience was 2 years ago, or October will be 2 years, I gave up alcohol. And so that, I never thought I could do. And it was never, again, it's like kind of going down generation type of thing, but I did. But that's like one of the obedience things He told me to do, to take that out of my life. And not everyone struggles with it, and that's not what I'm saying at all, but I did. And so, but just taking those things out, and it's hard for a moment, but then the other side is so good. And I just don't like when people, or I don't want people to get weary in doing good. And that's kind of like the season we've been in with teenagers. Like, we've been in it. Like, don't grow weary in doing good, because we don't know what's on the other side. But He promises. I mean, I've heard you say this lots of times. He promises it's going to be good. And we just have to, that's what the trust is. And blind faith, that's why I'm so thankful for my life that I've not had to see blind faith, because I've had Him work so much that I get to see that faith. But now it's my job to tell other people about that are having to walk in blind faith until they get their testimony or their moment or whatever they might be.
It's funny how much we don't want suffering in our life, but I have found in listening to your story that suffering actually produces significance. For Jesus, His greatest significance came in His moments of suffering, and I have found that to be so true in my own life. And listening to you, so we want to reject it because it's hard to walk through and it doesn't feel good. But actually, I think that we're living when we're in those moments, we're actually living the most significant seasons of our life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's what my thought too, Erika, was, you know, I feel like you do wear your heart on your sleeve in such a way that's not like, I don't know, I just never get the feelings from you that it is self-serving. It's like, I want you to know what God has done in my life. I want to testify about his goodness that I've personally seen. Because I think so much of the time, if we've been through something difficult, or maybe we're embarrassed, or maybe it's just not what we thought it would be, we want to hide it and run away from it. But really, that can be the moment it starts the ministry of our life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have such a heart and conviction for pre-life, post-life, and everything in between. And it's like the Lord I feel like he's using you because you're letting him, you know? And I love that about you.
You know, the people that love to share their faith the most are usually the ones that have been so broken or desperate that they're like, now I have to tell you.
I have to.
The conviction is so real about what he did. And listening to you, I'm like, well, geez, you had a child at 17. You had almost died in one of your births. You gave up alcohol. You've overcome religion and moved into relationship. I mean, you can help so many people.
Yeah, and you are.
Yeah.
You are. You really are.
Thank you.
I love that about you. You really just, it's like you couldn't not serve. Like you just can't not do it. And you know, even if you should, you just can't. And you know, we all want to find the healthy balance, right? We're all in that place.
That's the season I truly am in right now.
So, Erika, I love that you were talking about the knowing Jesus and how fundamental that is in your faith and in your home. And I mean, we say that all the time too, that without Jesus, nothing else really matters. But then you talked about walking out obedience and that there's not a shortcut, right? Do you know one? We haven't found one.
No.
So I think that's maybe as simple as it needs to be. Know Jesus and walk it out. But is there anything else that you would share, whether with your girls or the moms that you mentor, or just practical steps in walking out your day-to-day?
I think self-awareness is really big with us, and just knowing that none of us are perfect. Like, let's find the little things that we need to do. But again, it's the quiet time. It's the being in the Word. It's the worship music rather than other kind of music. Or I am a stay-at-home mom, but I don't look like, you know, the typical or the memes that, you know, you're sitting on the couch eating pom-poms, maybe doing laundry or whatever. Like, seriously, like, what you put into your mind matters. Like, my TVs are usually shut off. You know, it's just the simple choosing of Jesus, choosing of loving others, choosing of I never really thought it was so basic until like someone like asks me about my day-to-day or what my hobbies, I mean, we talk about that hobbies are, but like, it's seriously like the Lord, once you have that relationship with him, he changes. I mean, y'all have talked about that. It changes your heart into the can'ts don't look as great as the cans, and I want to be following in what he wants me to be doing. So just being intentional. I know we like that word. Being intentional, seriously, every single day, because every single day and moment is so precious. You have one left to live, and giving it to Jesus and others is so good, easy, fun, loving. Not always fun, I guess, but at the same time, you're going to get over to where he wants you to be, and that's going to be so good. And to me, peace, his love is worth everything.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, you know, I'm really thankful just to live life alongside you and your family, to be a part of the church with y'all, to learn from you, just the way that you love people and serve, and just the way that you're raising your children. You know, it means a lot. And you're right, like, you don't always see the fruit of it immediately, but you know, you are raising the next generation of believers. So proud of you.
I think such a testimony to just being a mom. You know, we so want to undervalue that season of our life where we have to go, well, I'm just a mom. And I'm like, that is probably the most important. I mean, we say this all the time. It's my greatest ministry, but truly, like, you know, I always think that too. Like, I'm raising the next leaders, the next pastors, the next politicians, and when I stand before the Lord, so often I try to imagine his face. And if I'm like face to face, God, did I do everything? If I'm just looking at you and you're looking at me, God, did I do it all? Did I do not all, but did I do all that you asked me to do? And was I faithful to steward the kids that you gave me? Because you living it out is literally causing them to live it out. And that's what we're all supposed to do. I love that, Kaitlin, you always say this, but the kind of disciple you are is the kind of disciple you'll make. And man, your life is that testimony, Erika. And it is a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love you.
I love y'all.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
This was
so
fun. Thanks for sharing your
thankful
story.
for y'all and this.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll see you guys next week.